Okay. Time to go live. Time to go live. I can't believe it wouldn't let me use my good camera. Oh, whatever. All right. So, not my favorite live stream ever because what I have to talk about is not going to be fun. Not going to be fun. Um, so let's jump on TikTok on both of my channels. Man, I got to tell you. Arizona, Mass Fabricator Tools opens up. Okay, a couple little tidbits, just to throw in there. Just because I want you guys to understand what's going on here. It looks like there was a well, it looks like there was a company that got a contract back in May of last year. Accurate looks like Accurate Explosives, something along those lines. Anyway, Kentucky-based firm. They got a contract for $440,000. The way it was bid by the DoD was very strange. If you look up the actual supply number that they gave when they bought whatever it is they bought, the DoD, it turns out it's a little tiny explosive device. Oh, thank you. It's a little tiny explosive device, and that little tiny explosive device was designed for one thing and one thing only, and that is to be attached to humans and kill them. Now, does any of this have anything to do with Charlie Kirk? I don't know. But as you can see now, with how completely insane this war has gotten, how completely idiotic this war has gotten, you can see that Charlie Kirk had to go. A guy that influential with young people, I mean, these are the people that they're going to try and start drafting here pretty soon. And these are the people who are the most likely to have already volunteered for the Army or the Marine Corps or whatever. You know, you don't get a lot of rainbow warrior skateboard types that want to go play soldier. That's more of a conservative gig. So the last thing you want is for a guy like Charlie Kirk to be talking about how Israel is not on our side and we should not go fight a war with Iran under any conditions. And going directly to the president, which I know for a fact he did, and he talked to the president directly and said, please don't go to war with Iran. And as the very public story goes, the president yelled at him and told him to go home, kicked him out of the White House, literally. It's all adding up. It's all adding up. It's all adding up. Operation Epstein Fury is not about trying to keep us safe from Iran. That's never been what it's about. It's not about that now. It wasn't, not for one friggin' second. What are we doing? Why are we doing this? Well, because Israel only had one real counterweight, one group of people who were really dangerous to them. Why were they dangerous? Well, because it appears, based on what I'm seeing and hearing, that Sunni Muslims are, they're really Muslim? Not really. They're really business people. And as long as you can bribe them, you can get away with doing whatever you want. Shia Muslims, on the other hand, are more religious. They're more sort of fundamentalist. And so there was no way that Israel was ever going to buy their way into Iran. They were going to bribe Iran and just subjugate them the way they did with Saudi Arabia. You're not just going to roll in and make them your bitch like you did with Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia does whatever Israel wants. They let them literally fly over their airspace to bomb Iran. It's like, okay, well, wait a minute. I thought you were Muslims. Yep. And I thought you and the Jews hated each other. Yep. Oh, yeah. Okay, so what's going on? Well, yeah, we don't hate each other that much. It's like, wait a minute. You either hate each other or you don't. I mean, come on, guys. Like, what's really going on here? Well, if they were broke, then we'd hate them again. Okay, I got you. So, the way that Israel looks at it is, these are the necessary idiots that you have to put up with. And the way that Saudi Arabia looks at it is, hey, it's money, it's cash. And cash is more important than Allah by a long shot, because we don't even buy that bullshit. Okay, that's cool. You know nothing. That's funny that you say that, Deborah, considering that you, oh, I see. You're one of those tribal people. You're one of those people that's like, hey, you said something that's offensive to my God, my savior, Trump. Trump ain't your savior. Trump wouldn't pee on you if you were on fire, actually, because you're a commoner. But you're also a troglodyte. Yeah. You're one of those low IQ people who's like, no, he's my guy. Really? Because he's protecting Epstein. How do I know that? Well, you're going to say, there's no proof that he ever did anything with Epstein. Really? Then why did they say, no, we're not going to release the other 3.5 million files? 3.5 million pages of files. Now, they released half of them after Congress said you must release them under law. And who makes the laws? Look at that. I already got a restriction for bullying and harassment on one of my channels. What do you do? What can I do? So they said, look, you can't withhold them. We're Congress. We make the laws. And the DOJ upholds the laws that we make. And the DOJ said, yeah, okay, sure. Yeah, whatever. Fuck you. I was like, wait, what was that last part? Oh, fudge is cool. That's what we said. Fudge is cool. Love fudge. Especially with walnuts. That's what we said. Oh, all right, good. Release the last 3.5 million pages. Crickets. Well, now, wait a minute. Pam Bondi, who appointed her? Trump. Well, why doesn't Trump just give her a call and say, look, Pam, don't make me put foot to ass, baby. You look pretty good for a 90-year-old. I don't want to have to roll you. But, you're out of here if you don't release those files. But he doesn't do that. Kash Patel, why'd you go into the headquarters and actually delete files at 3:00 in the morning, 2:42 a.m., where you had to go through five separate sets, five separate sets of codes to finally, and forever delete those files? Because they were so important that they literally put 5 different layers of protection in to make sure that they didn't actually get deleted unless it was absolutely 100% on purpose. Well, who put him in charge of the FBI? That'd be Trump. And why didn't Trump say, hey, listen, you're out of here. You're out of here, man. You're deleting Epstein files. Look, Epstein and I have nothing to do with each other, okay? So let's go ahead and dump all those files into the public hands, and they'll see that all these lousy Democrats are full of crap. Let's embarrass the Democrats, man. Let's let this thing go. Put it out there. But wait a minute. Hold on. The Democrats had this stuff for years. From 2019, wasn't there election in 2021? Wait a minute. So Biden and therefore Clinton and Obama, the trifecta of evil, they had all of these files that they could peruse, or more realistically, they could hire, say, I don't know, 2,000-3,000 people with security clearances and say, go through every single one of those. Each one of you gets 1,000 pages. Study it like your life depended on it. And if there is anything in there that we can use against Trump, do it. But that's not what happened, though. That never happened. Well, why is that? Well, here's the thing. Let's just say that I don't like somebody, and I think I can find some dirt on them. So I go and I find this dirt, but sort of really intertwined in all this dirt is the fact that I'm really into 12-year-old boys. Oh boy, it's going to be a tough one for me to use against them. It's kind of like I got a gun to their head and they got a gun to my head, and we're saying, okay, are you going to shoot me? Because if you shoot me, mine's going off too. Well, this is, what did we say with the Russians back in the 80s? Mutually assured destruction. Maybe that's why the Democrats didn't say anything, because some of their heroes and their largest donors and some of the power players in their network were just as dirty. Maybe it's not a Republican or Democrat thing. Maybe it's not a liberal or a conservative thing. Maybe it's not whether you've got pink hair and you believe that unicorn farts are actually ruining the environment, or if you believe somehow that the temple has to be rebuilt, which is exactly what Jesus said can't happen. But for some reason, you've convoluted yourself into believing that you've got to help your worst enemy on planet Earth to rebuild the temple. It doesn't matter how completely convoluted and how obscure and strange and really awful your thinking is. They're all out to get us. And that's the funny part. Just because you're paranoid doesn't mean that they're not actually out to get you. Can't talk about any facts. What facts what are you looking for? Are you looking for the FBI reports that they went out and interviewed a woman who they found credible enough to do several interviews on? What happened to that? What happened with when you say credible, they said that there was literally nobody that was trafficked. Like, there was nobody trafficked to anybody. So when you say there's no facts, it's like Pam Bondi, Kash Patel, and Dan Bongino literally, with totally straight faces, looked at the American people and said, there are no Epstein files. There are no Epstein files. Now, the best movie ever made, clearly, was The Princess Bride. Any idiot knows that. Gone with the Wind and all that shit's later. Whatever. Yeah, it's on the list somewhere. But when they get to the castle, the man in black is still paralyzed, and the guard who's standing in front of the door is asked, "Where's the key?" He says, what key? There's no key. And then, of course, Montoya says, Fezzik, rip his arms off. And he says, oh, this key. And he pulls it out. What files? There's no files. There's no files. But oh, you mean the 3.5 million pages of files? Oh, those files. Wag the dog is very different. That's part of what we're doing. But this is so blatant. It's so unbelievably like in your face. Hey, America, fuck you. That's what they're saying to us. That's what our government is saying to us. Hey, fuck you. Okay, no. You can't say that to us. It's our country. You jackasses just get to play pretend. You get to pretend like you run the country. But we elected you. We said you could go play big boys and big girls up on the hill for a little while. But the reality is that's a temporary job and we pay you. Okay, that's their attitude is okay. Yeah, that's true. So, yeah, fuck you anyway. Yeah, you know what? No, we're not going to release the files. What do you mean you're not going to release the files? Well, there are no files. And so you get a couple of guys, a Democrat and a Republican, who've got balls the size of, I assume they're the size of like bowling balls. I don't know how Ro Khanna or what's his name from Kentucky. I don't know how they walk around with pants on. So they got some big brass balls. Thomas Massey. I don't know how they walk around. I mean, come on. Two guys, a Democrat and a Republican, they don't get anything done. Well, guess what? These two guys said, hey, you know what? We're not on the Epstein list. We know we're not on the list. So therefore, release the list. Nobody said anything. So they put it in writing and they said, okay, now we would like all of you to vote. And since there are no Epstein files, let's vote and let's see which one of you says, no, I don't want to release them. That might be our first clue as to who's actually on them. It worked. It worked beautifully. Because what happened next was everybody voted to release them. Well, that means that they passed a law. If I don't have to follow the laws of this country, what does that mean? I mean, seriously, what does it mean if I don't have to follow the laws of this country? How does Pam Bondi have any better position than I do when it comes to ignoring the law? If anything, as an attorney and as the former Attorney General of Florida, I believe, she should have more respect for the law than some ignorant guy like me, who's just a guy. Right? So when Pam Bondi says, I understand that Congress just passed a law, but I'm going to ignore that law. I'm going to do the opposite of what that law tells me I must do. Then that means that laws no longer matter. No, laws are just suggestions now, and therefore they have no way to enforce them, because clearly if you're not enforcing them against the DOJ, the Department of Justice, if those people can break the law, then who among us cannot? See what I'm saying? Like, we can do whatever we want. Why should I? Look, if the attorney general doesn't follow the law, why should I? That's the key. We're debating the credibility of the Epstein files and government transparency or complete lack thereof. So last night, DJ Donald John, DJ Trump decided that he was going to go ahead. Yes, Bill Cooper did warn us. And he was accidentally shot to death in his own home by sheriffs who were raiding him to see if he had something illegal that he didn't have. Yeah, it was just an accident that they busted into his house and blew him away in the middle of the night. See, that's kind of how that works. So, but that's only because there was only one Bill Cooper. There are probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 30 or 40 million big and corn feds. There are easily 30 or 40 million percent of people in this country that feel the way I do. Now, I may not represent everybody, but I guarantee you that what I'm saying represents 10%. I guarantee you I represent at least 10% of the country that is tired of this shit, exhausted by the bullshit, sick of the lies, sick of feeling like a fucking idiot. Now, I know most people don't feel like an idiot because they refuse to believe the truth. Trump's a good guy. He's a good guy. Yeah, I thought that too. I mean, I thought he was an asshole, but I was being pragmatic. I was like, okay, he's an asshole, but he's my asshole. Like, he's at least going to do good things for the country. He's going to do things for the country that Kamala Harris couldn't do. So, therefore, I guess I'm stuck with him. I'll just put up with him. Do I like him as a person? No. Do I think he's a misogynist pig? Yeah. He's a pig. Some of the things he said about women. I mean, come on, man. I was in the Marine Corps. I played football in college. I've been around a lot of men. No, we don't talk like that. Low-class turds talk like that. Real men don't talk to each other like that. We don't make fun of women all the time. It's just a classless idiot maneuver, you know. And we've always got that one friend who says rude shit like that as a joke, but you know, you hope he doesn't mean it because he's got a mom. God forbid he ever has a daughter. So, you know, but yeah, I just thought, well, at least in terms of business sense, the first time around, he tried to do a couple things that I thought were actually really good, like holding back China, doing some catch up there. I thought, all right, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and give this guy a shot. I'm going to hope that I'm right and that he learned from his mistakes in the first term, saw that everybody made fun of him, saw that his own party undermined him because he wasn't playing the game properly. And this time he comes back and he is that baseball bat that we hoped he was last time. And the guys like Lindsey Graham, they understand that, look, he remembers what you said about him. He remembers how the moment he was out of power, you switched on him. You turned like the snake in the grass you are. No morals, no ethics, no conscience, complete and utter 100% sociopath. Guaranteed. No question in my mind. Because you can't get to where he's at and have a soul. Now, maybe I used the wrong term there. Maybe I used the wrong term. A sociopath is somebody who has been hurt so badly through trauma, whatever, that they put up walls. They keep people out and they stuff their emotions down. They make great Marines. Psychopaths are born. They're not made. You can have a psychopathic child, a child born with psychopathy. You can be as sweet and kind and loving to that child as anyone could possibly imagine. Never raise a hand to that child. Be absolutely 100% communicative with that child so that it never takes anything you say personally. And that child will still kill you with a butter knife while eating a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And if you checked its pulse, it'd be 80. Nothing personal. Just didn't like the fact that you wouldn't let me go outside and play. So you had to go. That is what Lindsey Graham is. He's never had a conscience. He tries to act like he's part of the conversation when he jumps in and he says certain things and then he laughs, and it makes you feel a little uncomfortable when he laughs. That is your God-given innate ability to sense when somebody is mentally ill. God, when people say, well, it's not for me to judge, that one of two things is true there. Either A, they completely misinterpreted scripture. It's okay. There's a lot of shitty preachers out there. There's a lot of terrible, terrible ministers out there, and they have no idea what they're talking about, but they love being the voice of God because they're psychopaths. Or B, if it's not that you don't understand, it's because you yourself do not want to be judged because of what you are or what you've done. And that, believe it or not, is a lot of Christians. It's not for me to judge, really, because I'm pretty sure that the reason the Lord gave you discernment was so that when you were walking through the forest and something in that big bush over there moved, you stop and pay attention to it. Now, your first thought is not, oh my gosh, I'll bet it's a squirrel. I should go running over there. Maybe I'll even take all my clothes off first so I'm easier to eat. That's not your first thought. Your first thought is that a threat? What is that? What made that noise? And you stop. You look, you listen, your head's on a swivel, unless you're a girl. Sorry, city girl. Country girls are very different. Very different. And by the way, if you're a city boy, don't even try. Because even though they're more woman than you probably want, they're also more man than you could possibly handle. Like, you got to be a man's man to deal with a country girl. Now, if you are a man's man and you know when to smile and when to nod and to say yes, dear, and when to slap that ass, as long as you've got all those rules set and they all line up with your girl, that's the best. The best. Oh, you can go to Tokyo, you can go to Paris, you can go to Moscow or wherever, New York City. You will never, ever, ever find a girl like that one in Pascagoula. That's just a fact. Right. Well, did you discern that it's good to look to not button your shirt? Oh, look at that. I went too far. This is beyond here. Look, this is church hair. This is literally what a Christian girl taught me. Like, that's church hair right there. That's enough hair that you can still go into church. That last button was a little much. Thank you. Appreciate that. So now that I'm all buttoned up and ready for church, which I did not go to today, although if I had known this morning what I know now, I probably would have, honestly, because um, I'm writing, obviously, I'm writing, well, I've written, it's done. I've written the book about survival and what to do if the grid goes down. I'm about to go to print this coming week, and boy, do I feel like an asshole. AI says I'm debating the personality of Donald Trump and calling him a sociopath. No, AI, you are completely wrong. As all of you guys know, I was talking about Lindsey Graham. So when you say AI doesn't make mistakes, there's one right there, because I clearly said Lindsey Graham. Now, Donald Trump, I don't think, is a sociopath. I do think he is incredibly narcissistic. And that's what got us into this war, is narcissism. He actually believes that Iran gives a shit enough about him that they would try to assassinate him in Pennsylvania. Now, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. That's just dumb. Who believes that? That Iran sent this little kid, Crooks, who's a 4.0 student who had nothing on the internet. Oh, turns out he had a huge footprint on the internet. He did? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, this kid Crooks, he's nothing like what we were told. There's nothing about him that matches up with what the FBI told us. So what is the FBI telling us now about him? Nothing. Nothing. Zero investigation. None. His body was destroyed like that. So we can't test for chemicals. We don't know if he was on something. Just boom, he's gone. Turn him into powder and get rid of him. Okay, so what was his motivation? Well, we don't know. He had no footprint online. Yes, he did. He was all over. He was commenting all over the place. There's tons of records of him. Oh, well, where are they? Oh, those have all been sealed. Well, why are you hiding this stuff? We're not hiding it. We're just not making it public. It's an ongoing investigation. Okay. So did somebody convince Donald Trump that the Iranians tried to blow him away? Is that what really happened? Because they ran that by us, obviously. They ran that by us on CNN and Fox and all the bullshit. And we were like, whatever. Yeah, oh, sure, it was Iran. Yeah, right, Iran did it. Come on. Please, Israel. Now, here's the thing, guys. He gets elected, okay? And this is so straightforward that if you don't understand this, I can't help you, okay? If this is so straightforward, this is very important. So share this. Please share this with your friends, because if they don't know this, this is the most important thing that has happened since Donald Trump took over as president for his second term. The first time that Netanyahu came over here, after killing hundreds of people with exploding pagers, hundreds of people, he came over here and he gave the president of the United States a golden pager, just like the ones that they had used to kill all those people, some of which were women and children that were just innocent bystanders. Would you see that as a threat? Pretty goddamn obvious what that means. Now, in the Marine Corps, we made jokes about the golden BB. The golden BB is the one that's the one that's taking you to heaven. You don't see it coming. Just the golden BB, man, just out of nowhere. Next thing you know, you're answering questions at the pearly gates. Well, hopefully, unless you're a really good Marine, and then you're not. But The golden BB, you know. And in World War II, they joked about the golden BB. Well, you sleepy, who knows? Literally, the number that I heard on the news the other day was hundreds of people. Now, maybe it was 42 terrorists, and then, you know, the innocent civilians that they killed. Who cares? Doesn't matter. It's collateral damage, and collateral damage is not human beings. It's exactly what it sounds like. It's collateral damage. So suck it up. Don't be a sissy, you know. So, well, I'm glad you think so, Lynn. But other than just trolling and saying that I'm full of it, why don't you say why? I'm sure you know why, right? Like, what is it? What did I say that's so full of shit? Or do you just want to troll and roll? Because that's what I think you want to do. You probably want to roll on before you get your ass handed to you. So BB comes over here and hands Trump a golden pager. The golden BB. Yeah, that's funny. I hadn't thought about that. The golden BB. So here's the question. What would you think if I killed a bunch of people using pagers? And then I said, you know, I hope you and I can work out our friendship and we can be friends for a long time. It would mean a lot to me. And then I gave you a golden pager. Because I could tell you this, according to people inside the White House, it was taken as a threat. It was not received as a cute tchotchke gift. It was received as, this is your pager. If you don't do what we want, motherfucker, we can get you just like we got them. So now we've got a guy who really believes that there are people out every day looking for opportunities to murder him. Number one among them is Iran, and number two is Israel. And Israel is saying that they are not really threatening you, they're more hoping that you see the light. Now that Iran is as big a threat to you personally as it's been to them universally for years. So let's do something about that. Because the first thing that Trump said, if you remember correctly, that morning, the very first interview was the best one, where he flippantly said, yeah, he tried to kill me, but I killed him first. Who are you talking about there, Donnie? Come on, DJ, cough it up, man. Why don't you say his name? He tried to kill me, but I killed him first. Really? You really, like, the president of the United States really believes that Iran is trying to kill him. Now, the director of national intelligence, the number one person in the entire world with access to information. All of our spies that are inside Israel, oh yeah, we got shitloads of those. All the spies that we've got inside of Russia, tons. China, a few. North Korea, well, not so much. But that's just about the only blacked out zone we've got. We've got people everywhere. Why? Because there's always the malcontent who thinks he should have that next position up and he got looked over. And number two, $1 billion to us is nothing. It's nothing. Look, we just voted to have a budget of almost $1 trillion for defense spending. Again. $1 trillion. And then Pete Hegseth says, oh, by the way, we're going to need another 200 billion. Well, I'm sorry. Like, don't get me wrong, guys. I don't want to be a dick about it, but what the fuck did you just do with the trillion we gave you? We just gave you $1 trillion. Clearly, you didn't spend it on plumbing, right? Because the Gerald R. Ford's on its way home, baby. Why? Because sailors were stuffing T-shirts down the toilet. And then they finally lit a fire in the fucking laundry and said, oh, it must have been lint. Yeah. They're looking into sabotage charges. They don't believe that that was an accident. They believe that multiple sailors took part in jamming up the plumbing and turning it into the ship of shit. And they believe that that fire was no accident. So come on, guys. What's going on here? Oh, you're not all jacked about going and attacking Iran? Why not? Oh, because you heard that even in 1990 they had silkworm missiles? Well, what's a silkworm? A silkworm is an anti-ship missile made by China. And they are incredibly effective. Now, how many do they have? That's the question. I don't know. How many anti-missile missiles do we have on board each ship? Yeah, storm is coming. I don't think so. Barron Trump will never volunteer. Barron Trump is absolutely 100% Jared Kushner. I believe that they're probably actually brothers. Nobody wants to admit it. But boy, oh boy, they sure are similar in a lot of ways. The cold, calculating, suns never touched their skin, Dracula, I suck babies' blood right out of their veins look about them. They are gross. They are disgusting little men. And I got to tell you, those are some guys that you don't want to fall asleep with your back to them ever. I didn't know you were a cowboy. Well, what makes you a cowboy? I've had a horse. I've ridden horses. I like horses. They're big, dumb animals like me. I don't ride anything anymore except draft horses. Well, cowboy hat could make you a cowboy, I suppose, but I've seen some guys wearing cowboy hats that were kind of questionable. Saw a guy not too long ago was running to a saloon. It's in Scottsdale. It's not a real saloon. He was running in. He had on white Daisy Duke cutoff shorts that let the bottom part of his very skinny little white ass hang out, and very long skinny legs, white cowboy boots on, and a white tank top. So I have to tell you that he had on a white cowboy hat. And he was waving his arms and screaming to the 5 girls he was with to wait up, you bitches. And I thought, man, this guy's walking into a saloon. It's a good thing it's a Scottsdale saloon. It's a good thing it's one of these sort of saloons that plays honky tonk badonkadonk. And by the way, if I ever owned a saloon and somebody played that song, I'd break all their fingers. Just that one time. I wouldn't be abusive about it. Like, I wouldn't be mean about it. I just have to tell them, as I did it, you can't play that. Now, the sideburns are only for those types of conversations. Oh, by the way, just so you know, my book, which you should all get ready to buy because the website will be up hopefully tomorrow, along with the ability to pay for the book, etc. I just spent 50 bucks for a book, $54, and then found out that A, it's not a book at all. It's a fucking PDF. Boy, that pissed me off. It's about survival. I said, fuck it. I don't want my money back. I'm going to download it and I'm going to peruse it. I'm going to see just how good it is compared to mine. Well, I got to tell you, some of the stuff that was in there was absolutely some of the best stuff I've ever seen for getting yourself killed in the first month of a societal collapse of any kind. Grid down, whatever. And the reason I say that is because they talked about things that were so completely irrelevant to the average person. For instance, they talked about making sure that you had lots of lighting on the outside of your house for nighttime. You know, the solar ones, which of course, in an EMP or solar flare, a massive solar flare, a super flare would be cooked. But if they weren't cooked, if they didn't get cooked instantly by being out there in the sun, if they worked, they would basically draw every hooligan, every starving person, every desperate parent within miles straight to your house. Yeah. If it's pitch black, and remember, there will be no streetlights. On a moonless night, God forbid, it's a cloudy moonless night. If it's a cloudy moonless night, it will be pitch fucking black. It will be really like hand in front of your face dark. If one of those driveway lights goes off, it's going to light up the entire neighborhood. You'll see it reflected in the clouds a mile away. Well, is it worth investigating who's got electricity in the neighborhood? If they've got electricity, what else do they have? God forbid that maybe they were prepared for this. Maybe they did something to get ready. So, no, you don't light a candle at night. You don't light a fucking match. You certainly don't have the outside of your house well lit. That's insanity. Because each person that has all those lights, they will get robbed one after the other. And if for no other reason than the fact that you have electricity, people will come to steal the lights. And they don't even want the lights. They just want the solar panels that are still working, because those can be jerry-rigged to charge rechargeable batteries, to maybe have, I don't know, a shortwave radio in case theirs failed. Like, what good does this do me without being able to recharge it? Now, of course, I've got rechargeable batteries in these, but what good does it do me if I don't have any way to recharge them? Okay, well, what are we getting prepared for? I'm glad you asked, Steve. Last night at midnight, the President of the United States, in his infinite wisdom, went on to Truth Social, the paragon of everything truthiness. And he decided that his strategy would be thus. If the Strait of Hormuz is not open 100% to traffic as of tomorrow, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, he will begin the destruction systematically of all energy in Iran. starting with their biggest power plants. Now, is Natanz the biggest power plant? No. As far as I can tell, it's not even working. Is the one nuclear power plant that they've got operating, is that their biggest? It's a megawatt. It's fairly small. Pretty tiny, really. So he's talking about things like dams. He's talking about things like their hydroelectric system. He's talking about things like their gas-powered systems. If he does that, you have to understand that everything that I preach on my channels about survival instantly comes to fruition there. With Joe, it has nothing to do with databases. Who cares? Shut down their databases. So what? Doesn't matter. Think about this. You're shutting down the civilian population, between 87 and 90 million civilians. You're shutting down their ability to have fresh, clean water that's disease-free, any kind of sanitation, flushable toilets, etc. Think about what you're doing to these people. You're shutting down all of their ability to get food. If you blow up their power stations, their civilian power stations, you are literally sentencing tens of millions of children and women and the elderly and total non-combatants to death. Now, if the excuse for this was that we thought that they had killed thousands of their own people because of the protests, and that by taking out the Ayatollah, the entire country would just fall, and everybody would just run for an American flag to start waving. That was a complete and utter, laughably stupid miscalculation. When somebody attacks your country, you stop attacking your president and you get behind them. Bush's approval rating skyrocketed after 9/11, even with Democrats. It's just what you do. How would Catholics feel if somebody from the Muslim world killed the Pope? What would the 1.5 billion Catholics around the world do? So now, at 7 o'clock tomorrow, if Iran doesn't give in to our demands to open the Straits of Hormuz, then at that point, we will start destroying their civilian infrastructure and causing the deaths of millions of civilians. Over a war that we should not be involved in. Think about that. A war that has nothing to do with us. 7 p.m. Philip says it's good that we're going to kill all those millions of people because, they're not him. It's interesting. Well, that's a funny thing. The World War One, people were like, why would we get involved in World War One? What does that have to do with us? And of course, there were a lot of young people that were like, hey, man, we're just going to go over there and it's only going to be 3 weeks. We'll be right back. Turned out to be one of the bloodiest wars in history. the Great War, the war to end all wars. And then there was World War II, and we thought that I remember watching old newsreels and seeing how people were like, "Oh yeah, the Chinese are like this. They can't even see. They can't see to shoot straight. So we'll be back in a week. It's gonna take us a week to kick the shit out of Japan. Like we're just gonna slaughter those idiots." Wrong. That's not how that went at all. They fought for every single square foot of island space. Well, it's a funny thing. You say he'll chicken out, but will he? Will he chicken out? I mean, that's the problem, is that Lindsey Graham wouldn't chicken out. Lindsey Graham certainly wouldn't chicken out. There's no question about that. There are dozens and dozens of Republicans and a whole bunch of Democrats that would not chicken out. So what happens next? That's the question. That's the big question, because honestly, people were talking about sleeper cells in the United States. Now, Chinese sleeper cells, that I worry about. There's 300,000 unaccounted for Chinese men in the United States. We don't go to war with China. If we go to war with China, the war is over the day that it starts. And not because they have a superior force. It's because everything falls apart back here at home that day. No question in my mind about that. 300,000. Because the key is, if you think about a map, how do you get out of China? Like I get it. If you're in Guatemala and you want to come to the United States, you walk. You jump on a train. If you want to come here from Mexico, you sneak across. You want to come here from Cuba, jump on a boat. 90 miles, you might make it. I mean, I hope you do. It would suck if you drowned. But how do you get here from China? You walk across North Korea? No. You cross the border into Russia? No. You swim across the South China Sea? No. You walk across the Himalayan mountains over the top of Everest and down into India? No. So how the hell do you get out of China if you're a Chinese dissident and you want to come here? How do you get here from China? Will the Chinese let you leave? The Chinese don't let dissidents leave. That's part of being a dissident. So why would they let all those people go? 300,000 men. Young, fighting age men. Why would they let them all just walk out of the country like that? It doesn't make sense, does it? Unless, of course, they wanted them to come here. So, yeah, we got a little bit of an issue here, folks. We've got a whole bunch of people that could come here at any point. Oh, I'm sorry, that are already here, and they could do all kinds of damage. How long does it take? Just curious. Well, he doesn't want to look weak, but at the same time, he really believes that this is like I think he actually believes all the bullshit he's being fed. Now, keep in mind, all of the stuff that he's being fed by people who hate the United States. What's the latest on the Epstein files? We started a war in Iran called Operation Epstein Fury. And it's to distract from the Epstein files because for some reason, there's 3.5 million files that have not been released yet. And the DOJ said, no, we're not going to release them. Even though a law was just passed forcing them to release every single page they have. Every single page that they have. Do I think Donald Trump is that dumb? He's protecting Epstein in public. He's literally saying, "Oh my God, are you still talking about Epstein? I thought we were over that. That was 3 weeks ago. What the hell's going on? It's time to move on. There were no victims." Clearly, that's a lie. Clearly, the President of the United States is going in front of microphones and lying to us. He's not stupid. He knows that there are 3.5 million pages that were just released. He knows that there are 3.5 million more that have to be released by law, but for some reason the DOJ is just saying no, nope, nope. Scott Johnson. I think Scott's got a great sense of humor. He says, Trump is a genius, 100%. I get it. I get it. It's a den of vipers. Okay? It's the synagogue of Satan. That is the United States Senate, the United States Congress, the Supreme Court of the United States of America, all of the lobbyists, all of the attorneys, all of the people in Washington, D.C. that work inside of our government. They are the synagogue of Satan. They are the unholy people on this earth. They are the worst human beings on the planet. They seek to destroy humanity for their own gain, financial gain, not even spiritual gain. It's not like it makes them better. The best part about this is, having grown up in Beverly Hills and Hollywood and being around billionaires, I can tell you firsthand that they are never happy and that their families are the most miserable, self-obsessed sons of bitches you've ever met. I remember when my girlfriend turned to me with a totally straight face and she said, "You know, I love my dad, but I'm really getting tired of waiting for my money." You know, folks, let me explain something to you. Laura Gottlieb, who's alive and well in Los Angeles, maybe even watching this live stream. Laura Gottlieb grew up in Beverly Hills with a father who was very, very clever and a mother who was very, very beautiful. Ashkenazi Jew. Her mother and father were cobblers. They were literally people who owned a shoe repair place in Redondo Beach. Very, very sweet. It's like the little old Jewish people that you think of when you think happy thoughts about Jews. They were those people. Give you the shirt off their back. They were kind, nice people. Their daughter went to UCLA. She got a degree in English literature because that's what beautiful women who want to marry millionaires do. That way, if you have a degree in English literature, you can sound very high class, like you're from old money, because you can quote, Milton or whatever. You could talk about Paradise Lost, or you can make a joke like I used to, and make a joke about being the man from La Mancha. And everybody in the room got it because they're all extremely educated. And they go, oh yeah, man from La Mancha, yeah. Don Quixote, funny story. They knew automatically what I was referring to. Now, I was not one of them, but I learned very quickly. I picked things up. I got a great memory. So I, I'll Google it. That's funny. Um, I would watch these people and I would just scratch my head because Laura's mother was from no money whatsoever. And she was the most pompous, self obsessed, materialistic, horrible human being I've ever met. And I met some nasty people. Laura was from real money, like big money. So she didn't really care if I had money. What did she care? Her dad's worth several $billions. Like who fucking cares about money? What am I gonna bring to the table? Oh, just a paltry couple hundred million. I didn't have any money. Just got out of the Marine Corps. She didn't care. Hey, as far as she was concerned, I was cute and Gentile. So what? What does that even mean? She's not a Hasidic, Haredi Jew who's who wears a veil over her face and all that bullshit. So it didn't matter to her. It mattered to her mother a lot. Dad, not so much. But I remember her turning to me, Laura, when she was, I don't know, in her 40s. And she said, I really wish he would just give me my money. And I said, what do you mean, give you your money? And she goes, I'm just tired of having to just wait every month for my allowance. I didn't know at the time, but I found out pretty quickly after that, within a couple of months, that her allowance was $60,000 a month. That's what daddy gave her. Now, he also paid cash for her Honda. She bought a little Honda CRV. I helped her buy a buddy of mine's house, Brian Bosworth. He sold her the house for a lot less than it was worth, $6 million. Daddy paid cash for that, so she didn't have any bills to speak of. She didn't have well, I got to pay for the house, I got to pay for insurance, I got to pay for this, I got to pay for that. No, that was all taken care of, by the trust. But she had to survive on $60,000 a month, and that pissed her off. Needless to say, her brother was a completely miserable son of a bitch. His daddy bought him a race car that was the fastest 1969 Camaro on earth. Spent hundreds of thousands of dollars building it, and then Richard Gottlieb acted like he was the one that made it go so fast, or that it was even his car. My point is that these are people who are so disconnected from reality that they don't understand. They don't understand what real life is like. All they know is that they're not happy. All that money, and they're not happy. And I can tell you that over and over and over and over again, I see the same story playing out. Now, I did meet one girl. I dated her for a little while. Her dad owned a bunch of radio stations, and she was a nice Catholic girl. As a matter of fact, I remember the first time I went to her house, which was her guest house. She lived behind mom and dad, of course, kind of a common thing. Her guest house was nicer than most people's houses, and I was on the couch with her, and I suggested we get friendlier, and she said, "I can't believe you would actually suggest that." She had a smile on her face, by the way. She said, "I am a good Catholic girl." And I said, "Well, if you were a good Catholic girl, you just do it and then, confess to it on Sunday." And she slapped me. Now, come on, guys. There are times when you deserve to get slapped. And that was one of those times where clearly I was pushing the line a little there. I thought it was funny. Didn't occur to me that maybe if you're actually Catholic, that's not that funny. I'd been to church twice or three times in my life. Yeah, once in boot camp, so that counts. It's funny how you get religion when it means you get to go and not clean something for a while. So, yeah, she slapped me. Then the best part, of course, with any Catholic girl who slaps you is she feels horribly guilty for slapping you. And that's all I'm going to say about that night. But anyway, do I have a filter on? Clearly not, or I wouldn't have just told you that story. I don't have any filters. Yeah, I think that's probably cost me a lot of money in my life. Yeah, good old Catholic guilt. I know. So anyway, enough about that. Bottom line is, she was probably the only girl that I knew that was not all fucked up. Her dad was super nice. Her mom was really sweet. You know, they were like the Cunninghams in Happy Days. They really were like that. Cameras, it's always freaking glitching. And the more shit I talk about the government, the more it glitches. Go figure. So anyway, I got off on a tangent, but let's get back to the most important thing I'm gonna say tonight before I go, and that is, sorry that it took so long for me to get the book ready. I will want you to buy it the moment. Yeah, either that or the camera is glitching. It could be. So I will want you to buy a copy of it because it's not a fucking PDF. I'm not going to say stupid things in it like the one that I just downloaded for $54. But again, and I made a joke with a girl that I'm friends with about needing to write something about survival from the standpoint of a normal person, what you can really do, not from the standpoint of, well, hey, I'm a Navy SEAL. And she said, oh my God, you're kidding. And I said, why? And she sent me a picture of the book she just bought that said how to survive the apocalypse Navy SEAL style. And it says underneath, written by an actual Navy SEAL. And I went, you got to bring that over to my fucking house. Like, you got to bring that when we go out to dinner next time. You got to bring that with, because I have got to see this thing. Like, it's what good does that do the average dude who's 50 years old? He's got a gut. He's not running 20 miles with 35 pounds of gear on. He can't do 200 sit-ups. And even if he could, what do you do with that 6-year-old? You know? So, but I'm thinking about other things as well, working on other things. For now, depending on where you live, think this through tonight. And I'm serious about this. Think this through tonight. It will be on Amazon, but right now I'm figuring out the title because we're going to print this week. But maybe survival for fat guys, survival for normal people, written by a fat guy. I don't know. Well, I'll think something. But bottom line is, think about this. This is something that I need you guys to really think about. If you're going to work tomorrow, which I'm sure a lot of you are, I need you to get a backpack and put into your backpack what you would need to get home if something happened. That's it. Just what you would need to get home. Now, if you work 25 miles from your house, yeah, I get it. You're kind of fucked. But if that's the case, you have to just pray that your car starts. Okay? Now, if it's a grid down situation that's not an EMP, okay, let's just say that it's, and I don't want to get too into this and show how easily destroyed the grid is, but if you had 20 guys with 20 good sniper rifles who could just shoot up 20 power stations, big substations around the country. That's it. Grid's gone. Grid is gone. As soon as those big transponders or transformers go, you can't replace them. Not for years. So, survival for the unfittest. I like that one. I do like that one. The reality is that if you've got one prepared, that's awesome. Make sure that you've got some water in there. Obviously, if you're up in the Northeast or if you're in Minnesota right now, it's 39 degrees today. Are you going to die of dehydration on the way home? Probably not. But make damn sure that you've got an extra pair of socks because you're not wearing enough to walk a long distance in the snow. So just make sure. Why not put an extra pair of socks? Why not just throw some fucking boots in the trunk? If you're going to work, you're going home. So it's not like you're going to leave them on the side of the road somewhere. If you need them when you're at home, well, go out to the trunk and get them. But in the meantime, having to walk home when it's cold will cost you your fucking toes. Because if the grid's down, what are you going to stop at the hospital? Maybe you will stop at the hospital. But if you do, I guarantee you it'll be a 14-hour wait. Now, do they have enough emergency supply of fuel to keep the generators running? Yes, they do. They have a couple weeks supply. This will be a completely different grid down scenario than an EMP that goes off and fries everything uniformly. It would be a much better situation because then it gives you time to do things like go home, if you have a pump, and again, nobody fucking has a pump, but if you have a hand crank pump with a hose on it, you can go and hand crank some gasoline from a gas station. You think the owner's going to stop you? He's not even going to be there. He owns 700 of these fucking things, and he lives in Pakistan. He doesn't care. Now, if you have a small, if you live, I'll give you an example. If you live in Minnesota, go check your barbecue. You got a big 25-pound, whatever it is, tank of LPG. Okay, if it's empty, go fill it up and stick that in your trunk tomorrow. I'll have that by tomorrow. These are the things I need you guys to do before 7 o'clock tomorrow night. Okay. Now, does Trump mean what he said? I don't know. Everybody seems to think that he's either completely and utterly devoid of any common sense or that he's playing 3D chess. I think it's somewhere in the middle. He's playing like 3 dementia chess, excuse me. So, is he all there? I don't know. Is he completely and utterly overwhelmed by the situation and saying things that are batshit stupid? Yes. Yes, absolutely. Now, for those of you who are low-class, degenerate morons, you might find a joke about Pearl Harbor in front of our real best ally as funny. It's not funny. It's not funny at all. It's like turning to your cousin and joking about that time they were molested. How is that fucking funny? It's the worst trauma of their life. Yeah, and guess what Japan's greatest trauma is? The fact that they had a bunch of leaders that led them into a completely disastrous war that got them annihilated. Got them completely annihilated, destroyed everything that they believed about their society. And then the society that destroyed them came in and helped rebuild them. Now, how the fuck would you feel if a country that destroyed you militarily then came in and helped rebuild you and made you one of the strongest, most self-reliant countries on earth? Feel pretty fucking good about that country now, wouldn't you? right up until they had to bring up that thing that you did, that one thing that you did that was really fucked up. Great, Trump. You are a real idiot. Like, that is some shit that, and if he hadn't said something even worse the day before, I wouldn't believe that he actually said that. But the day before, he said, yeah, we've won. We've done everything we've accomplished. We've accomplished everything we wanted. Everything's great. You know, if we do any more bombing, I mean, I might just, bomb some more for fun. Bomb the country of Iran more for fun. Those words actually came out of the mouth of the President of the United States of America. He might bomb this other country a little more for fun. That's psychopathic. That's completely and utterly psychopathic. That's a guy who actually thought that that was going to be funny. Well, Philip, I don't care if you believe it. Your belief doesn't make it not true. Go look it up. And be prepared to be as shocked as I was. Because I knew that he said some stupid things from time to time. But I had no idea he would ever say anything that stupid. It's beyond any, like, how do you put that in context? We're talking about people dying, okay? Now, if I said to Jocko Willnick, okay, guy's about as hardcore as they get. Nick, what's his name? Fritos, whatever. Funny guy, state senator somewhere. One of those states, those states. But he seems like a good guy. I believe he's either Green Beret or Delta. And I know there's a huge difference, but it's, because they have different missions. But Jocko was definitely a SEAL team, whatever he was, 2, 4, 6, whatever. If I said to them, do you think that we should bomb, fill in the blank, Iran for fun? I guarantee you that the first thing they would say is this some kind of joke? Is this like one of these gotcha videos? I don't get it. What do you mean for fun? And if I then clarified and said, no, I mean just for fun, like, that's fun. Woo! Yeah, drinking beer, watching fucking, minor league baseball, hooting and hollering, sitting behind the dugout. Fun. The impression I get of Nick is that he would probably be polite and extremely dismissive. The feeling I get with Jocko is that because of legal reasons, he wouldn't kick my ass right there on the spot. But it would take a lot of determination on his part not to. Renato, cool name, from Brazil. There's a country we haven't invaded yet. Thank God. So, to have the President of the United States say that he might keep bombing for fun for a while, it just doesn't make sense. Yeah, they leave out a lot. Of course, look, who wants to tell the truth? There have been dozens of people that have been arrested that are now facing 5 years in prison in Israel because they videotaped the carnage. They videotaped Iran pounding the shit out of Israel. Now, is it because they don't want Israel to know or Iran to know where their Patriot missiles or their David's sling sites are? No, bullshit. You don't think Iran knows exactly where they are at all times? You don't think they have the best satellite photography available from Russia or China? You don't think that China right now is saying, look, guys, you're fucking with our last ally that has oil. You took away Venezuela and we got that. Okay. Look, we didn't say shit. Okay, we didn't say shit. You took away 80% of our oil by taking Venezuela. But, you got your doctrine and okay, it goes all the way back to Monroe. That's a long time ago. We get it. That's your hemisphere. That's your sphere of influence. Your sphere of influence. It's cool. But now you're trying to take away Iran? Nope. We're going to help them. And with Russia, I mean, my God, could this be any more delicious for Putin? Oh, you wanted to make jokes, Lindsey Graham, about how this is the best money that the United States has ever spent in Ukraine because we're only spending 2% of our total budget on weapons, and yet we're killing Russians with no boots on the ground. Ha 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 ha. He laughed and laughed and laughed during that interview where he was sitting with Vladimir Zelensky and saying that it was so great that we were spending 2%. That's it. Really? Okay, because we gave them $200 billion. And now the Pentagon's asking for $200 billion more. You're closing in, guys. You're closing in on $500 billion. For 2 wars, we didn't need to be involved in it at all. Our involvement in Ukraine will not, has not, will never change the outcome of that war. Russia said, we want this peace. We're taking it back. We gave it to you. You started killing ethnic Russians. We're taking this back. And we're going to let them vote. If they vote to be Russian, and by the way, 85% of the people there are ethnic Russians. If they vote to be Russian, we're going to consider it Russia. And if you invade it, God help you. Well, the Ukrainians said, no, that's bullshit, man. That little 20%, that's ours. And they've been throwing themselves against it and And now they're down to literally abducting 65-year-old men and men that literally have already lost limbs in the war that are being recycled. Not a joke. They're literally sending people with mental illness and that are mentally handicapped out onto the line. They are throwing everything they have left at Russia. And Russia is saying, guys, it ain't going to work. We're not leaving. We're not invading your country. We just took a piece that you didn't want. And the reason we think you didn't want it was because you were killing the people in that region. So we're not killing them because guess what? They're ethnic Russians. We get it. You don't like us. Okay, cool. You don't have to deal with us anymore. This part of the country is not yours anymore. Done. Goodbye. Zelensky can keep throwing shit against the wall, but it's not going to stick. And by the way, when I say Zelensky, I mean the United States of America. Our allies have tossed in a total of about $5 And what about those sick ass German tanks? Really? All 6 of them? Yeah, big whoop. Okay, so now we've spent $200+ billion in Ukraine and done nothing except make make, make Vladimir Putin very keenly aware of the fact that we want him dead, that we want to kill him personally. And we're about to put boots on the ground right next to Russia. Boots on the ground right next to Russia. What do you think that's going to mean, guys? Do you think that there's a chance that now that they've had all of these years, literally years, of being at war, to build up their war footing, to build up their defense spending, to turn their country into this huge fucking war machine? Do you think there's any chance that the Russians might just, spend a little bit of money to slip some shit over there to Iran? What do I expect? I expect that after the midterms, Trump will be indicted. That's what I think. I think this is a bridge too far. I think he did something that is completely illegal. I think that Venezuela was cute. It was cute. Okay. Little tiny country. It's been softened up by years of people starving to death, years of infighting. We just went down there and plucked the guy right out. Okay. So you got this little teeny third world country, poor, can't even really afford his own guards. He's got to rely on the Cubans. And we just plucked him right out of there. And then Trump said, what's it going to be like in Iran and Israel? Netanyahu, who clearly controls everything that Trump does, 100%, absolutely no question in my mind about it. He said, yeah, it'll be that easy. I mean, it might take a couple weeks instead of a couple hours, but it's certainly not going to be like Iraq, and we certainly don't have to put boots on the ground. Well, Bruce, you're absolutely right. His own people did come back. We hired Tulsi Gabbard because Tulsi is a real veteran, like a real badass officer. And I've always admired her. And I've always said that, when people say, oh, you're just a big loudmouth redneck who, you wouldn't follow a woman. Bullshit. I'd follow Tulsi Gabbard through the gates of hell and back because she's a leader. I don't give a fuck if you got a penis or not. Look, lead, follow, or get the fuck out of the way. That's it. You got a plan? Your plan's better than my plan because I don't even have a plan? Let's do your plan. Well, let's hope it works. Oh, okay, you're just going to come up with a plan by committee and send me to go do it? No, thanks. Wow, that's amazing. I just got kicked off for community guidelines. And it says, what does it say? Oh, misinformation. Now, what do you guys think the misinformation was about exactly? What do you think that's about? Misinformation. Huh. Do I agree with this decision? Hell no. It doesn't contain the content mentioned. By the way, they'll put this back up. They'll go ahead and accept my appeal, and they'll put me back up. But it'll be a couple hours. That's the way it usually works. The other night, they kicked me off of this channel, off my Big and Corn-Fed channel. And 20 minutes later, I went and checked, and they were like, oh, yeah, okay, whatever. I was like, yeah, I was just quoting the Bible. They were like, oh, yep, yeah, that's not misinformation. No, we don't want to go that far for Israel. Let's see, what can you do? I can appeal it. TikTok. Let's see, my life doesn't. Uh, just talking about Tulsi Gabbard's success in the military. Okay. You know what's funny is I could put on here that I was actually talking about that time that Mickey Mouse got caught behind the hay bale with Minnie, and they weren't married yet, and they'd still put it back up. Why isn't silver going back up, Douglas? It hurts me to have to tell you this, buddy. But over the last year, it's gone up 100%. That's too much. So when it went up 190% or whatever it was in 8 months, that was way, 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 as we analysts on Wall Street call it, too fucking much. Way too fucking much. And I said, for those of you who were there, you guys remember, I said, yeah, it's going up awful fast. It's actually making me nervous. I don't like it when it goes up this fast. If it were slower, this would make me feel better. Well, now you know why. Because if you look at where it came from, where it is, it hasn't crashed. Now, did it go up way too much for a little while and then come back down to where it should be? Almost. Almost. It should be at 60. And I believe once it hits 60, off we go. Now, I could be wrong. It may never get down to 60. It may get down to 60-ish. Well, shit, right now, it's pretty 60-ish right now. It's 65.50. If you want to try and time it, I mean, if it really matters to anybody that much, then, let's see if I'm truly a genius. I mean, obviously I am, but that's not the point. The point is, let's see if I'm right on this one, okay? Because I am. But I mean, hey, I don't want you to miss out and wait when it's 85. You go, hey, son of a bitch, you said it was going to 60, so I didn't buy it. All right, well, buy it now. I mean, and if you don't want to buy it now, that's fine. Let's see if I'm right. I mean, it's down $2.40 right now for the day. Another $5 and I'm home free. Great honor. Wouldn't that be great? Oh, you're talking to somebody else. Yeah, whenever you guys do that, you always during war times, gold and silver often go up in value. Oh yeah, absolutely, they will. Don't worry, guys. Don't worry. This is, look, it's going up and up and up, and everything's great. Oh, look, hey, it's 2022, 23, 24, 25. Hey, look, it's 2025. Dude, what the hell? Hey, what the fuck's going on? Okay, it's going back up again. That's just what happened. Now, why do we have that crazy anomaly? The same reason we're going to have another crazy anomaly probably pretty soon. The only difference is this time, because of Trump, thanks, DJ, we don't have as much of a need for silver. We just killed the entire world's economy for 5 years. You know that, right? I mean, are we all clear? First of all, are we all clear on two things? Number one, tomorrow could be the most unbelievable fucking huge escalation in this war, making it literally World War III. tomorrow. If this guy literally bombs some of Iran's civilian power plants, what happens next will literally kill millions of people. Now, is that hyperbole? Is that just bullshit on my part? Am I just making some shit up there? Absolutely not. Do you know what will happen if we bomb their civilian power plants? They've already told us. How do people in Dubai, UAE, how do people in Qatar, how do people in Bahrain, how do people in Qatar, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, how do they survive as far as water? It ain't fucking rainfall, is it? It's not. It's not all the rivers that run through those areas. Tony, I think we're way beyond worrying about war crimes at this point, buddy. The very first strike that we had was on a girls' school. We've got bombs that, even when I was still involved in GPS technologies, and this was 20 years ago, I was trying to help make the GPS better for the Humvees in and around Baghdad. And I found out that my tech was good within 30 meters. There was a tech back then that was within a meter, but they just wouldn't give it to anybody with Humvees. They wouldn't just give it to anybody. And that was the fucked up part, was I'm trying to help my Marines get home on time, get back to the green zone or whatever. And I find out that, oh no, there's a much, much better system than the one you're using even. And it's like, well, the one I'm using is 100 times better than the one they're equipped with. Well, yeah, I mean, a lot of those guys don't even have GPS yet. What? You send them out into a foreign city full of enemy fighters and enemy combatants, and they don't even have GPS? Not yet. It's too expensive. So, yeah, there's tech out there that's so good that you can put a cruise missile through the window of a car, or in the case of Israel, through the top of a red cross marking on a car. And I'm supposed to believe that in the very first strike that opened this war up, they hit a girls' school and killed almost 200 children. That's how they started this war. That's how you kicked it off, was by killing 200 children. And that was an accident. Ain't no accidents when it comes to GPS now, motherfuckers. No, not buying that bullshit. So you killed all those girls on purpose because their daddies were all military people. That's the other side of the story. That's right. Good old child sacrifice. Now, what did you hope to accomplish by murdering the children of a bunch of officers? You think they're going to abandon their post now? Now they hate you more than anything they could have possibly imagined. There is not enough hate in the world to help you understand how they feel about the United States of America and Israel. So you basically just guaranteed yourself a war. You guaranteed yourself a war because everybody in Iran, before all of the communications went out, before everybody was in a blackout, before everybody left the major cities to go out in the country and go to their grandparents' house on the farm, the first and last thing they heard was that the United States of America just bombed a girls' school with a missile, and then lied and said it was them and they blew it up themselves, confirming that the United States of America is no better than Israel, who does shit like that all the time. And the fact that it was a double tap means that either A, and nobody knows the answer to this one yet, either A, the United States of America committed a war crime that is absolutely, unequivocally a war crime, or B, Israel saw that we had just blown up a girls' school and they decided to do what they do best, which is a double tap. Wait for 20 minutes until all of the emergency responders are on scene trying to help, and then launch another missile right into the middle of it. Either way, if I were in that country and somebody did that to a girls' school, pick a fucking city. I don't care where. Like I'm all the way out here in Arizona. Let's say it's a place I've never been in my life. It's Buffalo, New York. I've never been to Buffalo. What the fuck do I know about Buffalo other than buffalo wings? The home of disco. Yeah, I heard that. Okay, but I don't know anybody in Buffalo. Buffalo Bills. Yeah, you got a good quarterback. Okay, I heard that. I don't know his name, but okay, great. I guarantee you, if another country, any country, if any country blew up a girls' school in Buffalo, oh, I'd want to get involved. I send money, send ammo, send whatever I could. So, you know, we're in it and we're deep in it. But I can tell you that if Trump goes through with this civilian power plant thing, look, man, you had to know they were going to shut down the Straits of Hormuz. That's been the very first thing that analysts have talked about for literally 40 years. You don't attack Iran without knowing that you're going to shut down the Straits of Hormuz. And if you shut down the Straits of Hormuz, you shut down oil to most of the world. Now, did Saudi see it coming? Yeah. Yeah, they sure as fuck did. They built a fucking pipeline all the way across Saudi Arabia to the Red Sea. Iran already attacked that. And they will blow that thing to fucking pieces. They will hit it somewhere out in the middle of the desert, out in the middle of nowhere where there are no missile defenses. And they'll pop that thing like a fucking grape. And then what? That's 80% of Saudi Arabia's oil goes through that pipeline now that the Strait of Hormuz is shut down. What's Iran going to do? Surrender? They know. They know what happens if they surrender. Intelligence did know that. Guys, no matter how you slice it, the director of national intelligence, a very, very intelligent, capable woman, combat trained officer, doesn't take shit from anybody. One of the absolute most balls to the wall military people I've ever seen. Probably one of the women in my life that I've ever respected the most. Like literally as a civilian, I would take orders from her without question. That's the kind of human being she is. And when they asked her last spring what the status was, she said that there was, according to the intelligence agencies that work for the director of national intelligence, not her opinion, the CIA, the NSA, most importantly of all, the king motherfucking daddy of them all, the NRO, the National Reconnaissance Office. They hear everything. They see everything. There's nothing they don't know. These agencies said that Iran had no nuclear ambitions. They said that to the director of national intelligence, who then testified under oath in front of Congress that they had no nuclear intentions. Now, I can tell you why they have no nuclear intentions. The problem is, I'm not Muslim, so who the fuck's going to listen to me? But the reality is that it says in the Quran, you may not use indiscriminate weapons. You may not kill innocent civilians. You cannot you cannot literally kill a tree that has one green leaf upon it. The rules for combat are very specific. Sunni Muslims, in my opinion, just my opinion, not misinformation, they're not even Muslims. They're just playing the part because that's the way to stay in power. But if you look at Saudi Arabia and you look at the ungodly mess it is, the absolute disgusting mess that thousands of princes, cocaine and whores and all that stuff inside their palaces, and then they have the religious police going around beating people for not dressing correctly. It's a sham. It's a sham. Shia Muslims, on the other hand, not a sham. They believe. That's what the Quran says. Therefore, anything that kills indiscriminately is against what Muhammad taught. Period. Period. This is what Muhammad taught. This is what Allah said. This device you're talking about and accusing us of trying to get, we're not allowed to have. The fatwa was clear. We can't have one of those. It would destroy us as a faith to use one of those. Yeah, whatever. Bullshit. No, it's not bullshit. It's not bullshit. Now, do you think that it means that as a Christian, Christ would be all for a nuclear weapon? No, of course not. That's idiotic. So, but we're Christians in the same way Sunnis are Muslims. It's like, well, what's in it for us today? Yeah. Baron Trump in combat. I just don't see it. He's too tall. He's 6'10" or something. He's too tall. Otherwise, he'd be right there, man. He'd be all up in it. I guarantee you, he'd be all over it. Well, it looks like I've been kicked off for 3 days on my other channel. Oh, poop. All right, guys. Well, I've been on here for a couple hours. Listen, tomorrow's not a joke. Go home. I'm going to make a couple videos, but go home. If you're home now, before you leave tomorrow, do the things that you need to do to be able to get home if your car doesn't start. Now, do I think there'll be an EMP? No, I don't think they have the means to deliver an EMP weapon. Does an EMP have to be a nuclear device? No, absolutely not. You can fit one in the size of a suitcase. For any of you who have seen, I don't know what the hell it was. It's one of the Iron Man movies where they had a bad guy, or there's always a bad guy and there's always the good guys and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, one of the bad guys set off an EMP. And it was very accurate, because it was just dropped off in front of a power station. When the guy opened it up, he looked in and went, oh shit. Now, did it explode? Yes, there was an explosion. The explosion is fairly minor. The explosion is not to take out all the transponders and transformers. The explosion is to create an electromagnetic pulse that travels down the lines and destroys everything in all directions. Could you take out the power grid of the United States with one? No. Could you take out the power grid of the United States if you had 10 of them? Yes. How much do they cost? $50,000 per suitcase. So for $500,000, if Osama bin Laden had truly wanted to destroy the United States, the great evil, that's what he would have done. He wouldn't have flown an airplane into the tallest building, which, by the way, made a lot of Jewish people very, very rich, including Witkoff, the guy who whispers in the president's ear. Yeah, he lost 650 of his employees, got a huge amount of insurance, and kept it for himself. We don't actually know that they did. That's the problem. We don't know. Now, the other thing is, under the last Ayatollah, maybe they were trying to enrich some uranium. I would say this, if, and this is a big if, but if you were seeking to have a nuclear weapon, but only as a deterrent, is that allowed by the Quran? If you have no intention of ever using it, but having it, like North Korea. North Korea talks shit all the time. Do we invade? No, fuck no, we don't. Why not? Well, because they got missiles. So what? Fuck their missiles. Iran's got missiles. Yeah, they've got nuclear tip missiles. Oh, well then what happens when North Korea rattles their saber? We say, oh, I'm sorry, guys, what do you need? Oh, what's the problem? Hey, look, motherfuckers, we'll destroy you. By the way, we're on our way over there. We're going to step over into your country and shake your hand. I mean, that would be if it were me. If it were me, because I would never want to use a nuclear weapon on anybody. Why would I do that? I wouldn't want to. But if I knew that there were 4 or 5 other countries that had nuclear weapons, like, oh, I don't know, let's say somebody who was batshit crazy enough and believed that the end of the world would be brought about and their savior would finally show up, their Messiah would finally show up in the end battle, the battle of all battles, the battle between them and all nations. Oh, yeah. Would they use a nuke? Oh, fuck yeah, they would. They actually have something called the Samson option. And if you know the story of Samson and Delilah, she cut his hair, she betrayed him, they made fun of him, they thought he was a joke. But guess what? He knew the truth. He knew that God loved him. So what did he do? Even without his hair, just with the faith that he had in God, he was able to bring the entire stadium down and destroyed all of them. And himself, of course. But hey, that's the deal that you got to make sometimes. Got to break a few eggs, you know what I'm saying? So, no, of course not. If you're talking about the Marine barracks, no. The thing is, I would really want to go back and look at that more closely. I was in the Marine Corps at the time, and I would like to know for a fact that was Hezbollah, that was a Shia, because every other attack we've ever endured from Muslims has always been Sunni, always Sunnis, always. What the hell's that? I mean, USS Cole, Sunni. Embassy, Sunnis. Other embassy, Sunnis. 9/11, Sunnis. And Israel. There, I said it out loud. All right, so you know what's going on. Bottom line is, look, I'll give you an example. I know that at the time when Flight 800 went down over Lockerbie, Scotland, I know that there was a lot of information that pointed to other people other than who they blamed it on. And the problem was that some of the people were from countries that were supposed to be our allies. So we simply didn't follow up on it. We just pointed at somebody else. Is that what we did with the embassy bombing? I don't know. I have no idea. I know that embassy bombing was, I mean, man, you want to talk about wanting to go in bad. I wanted to go in, like everybody I knew wanted to go in. One of my buddies from boot camp, he was in that embassy. That's last place anybody ever saw him. So, yeah, the quiet part out loud. Yeah. So, who knows what's going on over there for real? But I can tell you this, I am really, really, really not excited about the idea of taking this to the next level, because Iran's made it very clear, if we try to hurt them, try to hurt their civilian population like that, they will respond in kind. That means they'll hit water desalination plants all over. Do you understand what that means? Think about that. Desalination plants that supply Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Bahrain, UAE. Man, if we hit their civilian power plants like Trump has suggested, they will go after all the rest of their neighbors. And if they go after all the rest of their neighbors, then that's it. Thanks, Celestial. I appreciate it. I will say this. That could be the trigger for why we call it World War III in the future. Because at that point, who else gets involved? I mean, who gets involved on the side of the United States? Nobody wants to get involved now. Russia and China are laughing at us. They're saying, look, you fucking idiots wanted this. Go for it. Have fun. You slipped weapons to our enemies for years. But don't worry, we won't do the same to you. Think about it. Taiwan was a province of China. China says it's still a province of China. The Taiwanese say, no, we're independent now. How would you feel if Florida said, no, we're not you guys anymore? What are you talking about? Yeah, you are. No, we're not. How about Alaska? Well, we're not even attached to you fuckers. Well, I mean, sort of through Canada. Yeah, but we're not attached to you. Okay, well, you're still one of us. That's what we'd say. And then what if Russia said, well, hey, Alaska, if you're all on your own, we'd be happy to take you back. We used to own you anyway. I think if you want to stay independent, we're cool with that. But you need some money. You want us to sell you some jets. We understand you got a lot of oil. We'd be like, well, hey, fucking Russia, get the fuck out of here, man. Hit the street. What are you doing? Why are you trying to cut in on our date here? But that's exactly what we're doing to China. So now what happens? Well, I can tell you this, the Chinese are laughing their asses off. They're like, Jesus Christ, this is the best you clowns can do against Iran? Look, Iraq only had 20 million people. You fucked around and found out for 15 years. This place has got 90 million people, and you're getting your asses handed to you. You're embarrassing yourselves on the world stage. We've got 1 billion people, and we want that island that's 60 miles away. What are you going to do again? Tell us what you're going to do again. Yeah, you're not doing shit. That's exactly what they're going to say. What China's going to say to us, and remember, I said this way back here, way back in this part of the year. When China takes Taiwan very soon, they're going to say to us, hey, when you took over Venezuela, was Venezuela part of the U.S. ever? No, it was not. But you decided to go down there and take over that country. Why? Because you just wanted something from them. But on top of that, the guy who was running it was a staunch Christian who didn't allow usury. And the woman who wants to take over said she'll move the very first thing she'll do is she'll move the embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. What the fuck does that have to do with anything in Venezuela? Why would she say that? Why would she say that's the first thing she's going to do? Well, because she knows who the masters are. She knows who's running this game. And she's playing to the audience. Okay. So now we're clear. We're good. We know that Israel is the reason that we got rid of Maduro. But we still get to keep the oil, right? We'll see. But China's looking at that and going, hey, wait a minute. You could just take over another country because they happen to be unfriendly? What about our own province, Formosa? Fuck it. We want it back now. We're just going to go get it back. It's not like we're invading a separate country like you idiots do. You just went and invaded Iran. You went and invaded Venezuela. You went and invaded fucking Ecuador. Did you know we have boots on the ground in Ecuador now? Yeah. Yep. Day after we invaded Iran, we invaded fucking Ecuador. We put boots on the ground in Ecuador. Now, granted, we were given permission by the president. That's handy, considering that some say his family is the one that's running drugs. But we actually went boots on the ground. Now we have a permanent military base in Ecuador. You can't make this shit up. Who talked about Ecuador? Nobody. We're just running around taking over everything. Hey, let's fuck over Cuba. What do you mean? Well, let's make sure that they don't get any oil. Yeah, but wouldn't that be making the civilians suffer? Yeah, but you know what? You got to be cruel to be kind in the right measure. Cruel to be kind in the right measure. You know the song? Come on. You got to be cruel to be kind. So let's make the civilians suffer really, really bad. So they rise up against their government? Yeah. Like in Iran? No, not like that. Fuck. Because what it's starting to seem like to me is the United States just went full asshole. We just went full fucking asshole on everybody in the world. Like full blown, fuck you, fuck your liberties, fuck your politicians and your governments. We don't give a shit what you think. We're always right and we're taking over. It's our fucking world and we'll do whatever we want. We'll freedom the fuck out of you. That's what B-52s do, baby. They drop freedom bombs on your ass. What the fuck, man? What are we doing here? I can tell you this. Karma's a bitch. Ask Israel. Oh, they're using cluster munitions. They're bombing us. Oh, how's that feel? Yeah, but they're aiming for buildings that aren't military. Really? Oh, shit. Man, I'll bet you guys wish you had bomb shelters like Gaza. Oh, wait, that's right. Fucking Gaza doesn't have bomb shelters. You do. Oh, they killed a civilian. Oh, really? A civilian? You lost a civilian. Wow, that's terrible. What are we going to do about that? You realize that the entire world is laughing about this, right? Laughing about the entire Israel whining about, well, they're bombing us too much now. It's not nice. It's not nice. Hey, you guys started a war. Not only did you start a war, you drug the United States of America into the war for you. You literally brought your bully. But, oh yeah, that's the crazy thing. They took down an F-35. Apparently, I don't know why, but apparently nobody gave Iran the news that you can't shoot those down because they're stealth. Did anybody get that memo? Because apparently they didn't get that memo. So they shot one down. But apparently now we've updated them to let them know you can't see that. Yeah, I know. Man, talk about an abusive relationship. My God. The United States and Israel, we are like the codependent little bitches that get slapped around and we say the same thing. No, 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 it's okay. They only do it because they love us. If we didn't make them so mad, they wouldn't do it. And if they didn't love us so much, we wouldn't make them so mad. The only reason they get so mad is because they love us so much. It's really our fault. Look, Israel, my guy, the guy that you say is burning in excrement, who's a false prophet, is my guy. My guy said that I'm supposed to love thy neighbor. Now, you are proving that that is by far the most difficult of all commandments. So here's what I'm going to say. It's not us, it's you. You are the reason that the United States of America is breaking up with you. I can't say it's been a good time, but I can say it's been a long time. And I can also say that as much as we've not enjoyed it, we haven't benefited from it. Actually, the more I talk, the more I realize that Israel is not only anti-Christ in the sense that they hate Christ, so they're anti-Christ, and they literally target Christians for violence and destroy Christian villages and churches. So, okay, but let's just set aside the fact that technically, if you are completely against Christ, then you're anti-Christ. Let's set aside the fact that they're clearly, definitively anti-Christ. On top of that, they're not very nice people. We want alimony and child support. You know what? That's absolutely right. Can you imagine if the United States and Israel had a baby? Oh, it'd be Beowulf, but worse. Like, that's a horrible thought. That's a horrible thought. God. Yeah, that I can't even begin to imagine what that would be. Auschwitz, Buchenwald. I mean, whoa. Yeah. Wow. So, all right. Well, I'm going to go eat because I do that sometimes very late when I haven't had anything to eat, and that's what I'm going to do tonight. So, good news is it's going to be good for me. It's going to be a lot of chicken. All right, you guys. Again, get ready for tomorrow, just in case. I hope I'm wrong. I really hope I'm wrong.